What is up, folk? Welcome back to another episode of my series here where we're going to be absolutely killing it as the nation of Austria. And of course, we're in a very similar situation to last episode where we're in a pretty glorious state. We're waiting, of course, for the opportunity to jump in against Castile and PU him. Hoping, of course, that he doesn't have an ear where his Habsburg dynasty ruler comes of age, or comes into the throne, rather. And we've been managing stuff last episode, like the Estonian region, trying to fracture it, break their alliances, and have them depend on the empire for protection. I have some time in between my truce here with the Ottomans, of course. We're progressively diminishing the Ottomans' influence, making them weaker and weaker, and of course growing in strength ourselves, and it's just going to make each consecutive war easier against the Ottomans, of course. However, as I integrate Serbia there, and having more land to add into the empire, embracing the Counter-Reformation is really nice. I like it when that comes about, especially if you're crusading out into the east, because we just gained 2 additional missionaries, which are going to last us a long time. I really like that. And you guys can see here that I'm adding provinces to the empire. I'm going to go ahead and pass that reform. I believe this reform is eternally having peace within inside the empire, and of course always inherited by the same nation. So we no longer have to worry about being voted for, and we're now going to be gaining a dramatic amount of imperial authority. Of course, we have some land, as you can see, still that can be added, and yeah, it's just a short period of time here until we finally revoke. But with that being said, the focus of this episode is actually going to be on Africa. We're going to start a nice little African colony, spreading our influence to North Africa as well. One of my biggest sort of peeves of this game is there are countless circumstances where this applies, and it's kind of where you feel boxed in. I hate feeling boxed in. A good example is like if you're the Teutonic Order, for example, and maybe, let's say, you do defeat the Poles, maybe in a defensive war or something, and you have a truce with him, you know, maybe expand into the Livonian Order, and you feel boxed in between the PLC, Muscovy, the Empire, and the Scandinavians, and you feel like you cannot win. And even if you do win one of them, you have a truce time, and you feel like you wish you had somewhere to expand into. That is briefly where I begin to feel our monarch points have been really well spent on our idea groups and so on, but I'm getting to a point here where I do feel like I could be doing more, is what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. Right now, I'm trying to develop as I'm way ahead of my military points there, and I'm not going to be having anything to spend that on anytime soon. I just spent a lot of military points developing some of those grasslands and so on in Scandinavia, where I have stated up those provinces for quote-unquote free, because I have integrated them previously. Now, in order to avoid the issue that I just mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and no CB Tunis. Now, this is something that I did try to prepare myself for, having claims in North Africa in the previous age, but the Age of Reformation has been around long enough, and I no longer am able to claim off of claims, and yeah, the claims that I did have disappeared. That's what I'm trying to say. But I do not like being boxed in. I feel like I could be more productive with my time, and this is why I'm going to go ahead and no CB Tunis. Now you can see that Tunis has a tremendous amount of reconquest. He actually, I believe both Morocco and Tunis expanded into Tlemcen, and Morocco ended up overcoming Tunis. And of course, this guy here, Yogurt, I don't know how to say his name, has also, I think, by being allied to Morocco, overcome Tunis. Tunis has lost a tremendous amount of land, and if we can go ahead and vassalize this guy, then that's going to allow us to not only just have a decent-sized vassal as he is, but feed him. Use some of our time productively in wars, feed him, and become that much more influential with the tribute and so on that he gives us. But yeah, I am not afraid to no CB when it is a sensible move in terms of aggressive expansion. Of course, he's a Sunni, and at this stage, the Ottomans already hate us. We've got a truce with them. And yeah, we're going to obviously have a truce here with Tunis. Not only will he not be in a coalition, but he's going to help us out, obviously, in defensive wars. So, I mean, I wouldn't really be afraid of these three Muslim nations in North Africa, like the Mamluks, etc., at this stage at all, even if they did coalition me. So, not afraid to do a no-CB war here if I feel like it is productive. We've got plenty of admin points. And we can use that papal influence, of course, to boost our stability if needs be. Look at how much imperial authority that we have already gained over the recent years. Absolutely tremendous, speeding along here really nicely. And part of my concern here is I don't want to start overly ambitious wars for two reasons. I don't want to actually be unable to go in, or feel like I'm unable to go in against Castile if I'm given the opportunity, because I feel like I'm preoccupied doing something else. And of course, I would like to get that 50 imperial authority and basically revoke ASAP. So although we have not been perfectly efficient throughout the series, I certainly would not like that to happen again. And have even more consequence this time around in regards to the fact that we could be so powerful and so wealthy and just destroying, using all the claims and so on of each of our subjects to just destroy and gobble everybody up. So I'm trying to stick with a nice, clean, decisive wars like this has proven to be, vassalizing Tunis and taking those beautiful claims. Now, speaking of Castile and the war against him, you guys may have noticed that he's integrated Naples there. So that feels a little bit bad, man, quite frankly, because Naples was small enough to, if we had our tremendous amount of diplo reputation, we could have very likely inherited him. We'd have very good odds when our ruler passes away to just inherit his entire country. Yeah, I actually haven't been very lucky, quite frankly, this playthrough, but that is kind of what I said from the very beginning. Is I've said it a few times throughout the series, but I wanted to prove just how powerful you could be, if you will, without actually getting overwhelming RNG. Now, I am beginning for the first time in a long time, guys, as I integrate my subjects here, to actually have quite a few available deploy relation slots, and turns out that the Mamelukes were actually friendly with me. Now, if we refer back to what I was saying earlier, whereas they are a small threat that I'm not very worried about, but the fact that they could join a coalition, I am actually going to go ahead and ally them up, and I do like that, because I find very often when I am smashing the Ottomans from the Western Front, so often they just continuously expand out eastward. And it can seem not futile, but the prospect of that nation actually being eliminated, it seems futile, as they just expand at the same rate that you're expanding. But blocking them off there from the Levant is definitely an exciting thing. And yeah, maybe to tease you guys a little bit, I want to talk about the fact that I have not been super duper lucky, in my opinion, so far. Hint, hint, because there's some cheeky stuff. You know, a lot of people are jelly, the mad haters, and jelly of my exceptional luck, because I am known to be lucky sometimes. But yeah, there is one thing that happens before I'm going to wrap up this series, which was not exactly anticipated, and very cool. Made my game that much more enjoyable as I was sitting here recording these things. Now, also, I just briefly want to talk about Denmark before the end of the episode. It looks like I did have a bit of a flaw to my gameplay, as far as I can tell, watching this back, because Denmark was under a union with Bavaria, and we very well could have I had a truce with Bavaria, I remember that, but it looks like I could have stolen the union over Denmark, but at this stage, I've actually disallowed wars inside the empire, so rip that. That's not going to happen. Truce is up with the Ottomans, and that's going to be it here for this episode, guys. Naturally, going to be taking some more land to add to the empire next episode.